Ascended Masters. Attention! For understand this video, it's very important to have a very high level of understanding and preparation. To broadly understand who the Ascended Masters are, I will create a large category and explain their most important distinguished characteristics. These beings, whether men, women, gods, figures, originating from the myths and legends, ordinary people who eventually became great sages, masters of wisdom and spirituality, or even animals are all included. Remember that many tribes worship the different kinds of animals and created their own cults for them, inspired by the respect they had for them and benefits they claim to receive in exchange for sacrifice and worships. Within this entire category we can find what this type of master are. Although I could go into the detail about some of them to give a very specific examples, here they will I be treading only on the surface, so that you can gain a general idea to understand the topic. Each of them will have their own dedicated articles for those interested in understanding the life and who will they reach the maximum level of development. And here lies the first key. Throughout the life, after many reincarnations, their beings managed to become conscious of who they were in past life and recovered the knowledge they had already acquired, therefore shortening the period of study or learning from begins. In other words, they were able to awaken, be conscious, and lift the veil, remember the past life. These terms of evolution created were known as quantum leaps and gradually boost their inner growth. Imagine that from then it was like, in a simple example, suddenly going on from attending elementary school to finding themselves at the university the following week or holding the degree on their hands. This is explained because all through in each reincarnation we change to the vehicle, the body, the soul always is the same. Everything we learn is present within, and when we need something from it, or when it's a time to recover everything, it will send us the subtle signals, generally through the subconscious, dreams, symbolism, images, or the universe present us with a challenging situation that push us to generate drastic change and meet the people who will completely change our path. As long we make the decision that brings us closer to it. Understanding that I did not say the correct decision, because although some may consider certain decision correct and others not, as a human being there is prevails an unalterable law called the free will. Therefore, when faced with an important change of direction in our lives, whether we decide to continue the same way or change everything at once, there are not correct decisions, only personal decisions, and that is fine. They must be very clear, because I even see many people who punish themselves and their present life for decisions we made in the past, and that is not only harms their present but only created a future where the cycle of decision, good, I, I shouldn't have done that decision, guilt, and I shouldn't don't have that repeat endlessly. If upon reaching this line you identify with this, it so no matter whatever past 1 year, 10 or 20 years have passed, I'd advise you to forgive yourself and let it go. The energy you invest in looking backwards is prevent you seeing the path ahead. When in your now, in your present, you walk with love and forgiveness, it will allow you to focus your energy on a better future. Do not underestimate this. All these masters are ordinary people who, as mentioned earlier, were able to remember themselves in another life and recover everything they had learned, doing so constantly over a several more reincarnations. They are exceptional cases, until to reaching the point where their true life mission or degree of knowledge, in other words, all the experience that could be living on this world has already been experienced from every possible angle. Therefore, they reached the maximum potential and reincarnation was no longer necessary. Thus, I can be said that Ascender Master are graduated of the school of the called life. But the history continues, because themselves, now with their extremely powerful degree of evolution and wisdom accumulated over the thousands of the years, are in position to help people who have the sufficient degree of capacity or evolution to recognize that they do exist and connect with them. Most of you are now full of questions, and all of them will able answer and develop. Do the Ascender Masters exist then? Yes. Can I communicate with them? Yes. They are in this world? No. Do they live in another realities? Yes, in another planes. Can I speak with them, hear them, or simply dream of them? Yes. Without having the prior knowledge of them, can they contact me and give me instructions? Always respecting the law of the free will, when the time comes, they can contact us. Are some of them negative in nature or danger to society? No, quite the opposite. If I am already in contact with them, how can I distinguish whether they are truly them or not? You will notice that's true the two very factor case. The first is to feel with the heart. You listen your own intuition and it never fails. When we are living or believe in the intuition will fail, it's because you are listening to your ego. On the other hand, the information we perceive, whether in images, words, or dreams, does it generate fear or dread? Or does it bring you joy, peace, happiness? Do you feel calm? You must be always combine the intuition with all you feel at the moment of receiving the information, because if it is case of fear or especially doubt, it means it's not what you believe or not what it seems. In these cases, you must be very careful and consult experts or people with knowledge on this subject. Until then, it's advisable to cut off the communication. If you come into contact with an ascended masters, calm and tranquility will be read in your heart. You will feel great peace and love. And the message that they arrive are always for the evolution of society and ourselves. On the contrary, if you perceive something strange, feel nervous and unsettled, and this is supported by the fact that the message you receive are contradictory or manipulate us or others, then that is a clear sign that the communication must be solved immediately. If you, for any reason, you find yourself in the last scenario, you must be not feel the energy of fears. I already written many articles or do video with protection methods at the mental, auric, and especially physical levels. You may be also invoke your personal guardian angel. Remember that he intervenes only if you will allow it or in case of urgency. Personally, I rely without fail on the commander of God's army, Archangel Saint Michael. Nothing resists his presence and his extremely powerful sword. When the light appears, darkness vanishes. Do not be afraid. It is also important to note that even though they may have completed their last reincarnation a few years ago or thousands of years ago, they are present from another planes in a temporal way. Therefore, they are already always there available. In this category, you can find ordinary people who develop themselves greatly, such as a Count of Saint Germain, or highly involved beings who were reincarnated on purpose to change the course of humanity, such as the Master of Masters, Jesus. That is, part of his life was living as an ordinary person, but therefore reincarnated, he was already a master. That is, part of his life was living in an ordinary person, but before reincarnating, he was already a master. Here he remembered it and fulfilled his mission, which cost him his life, yes, but changed the course of the history. To begin with something simpler, I can tell you what the Count of German was. In his last reincarnation was able to channel for humanity an important knowledge called the violet flame, an extremely powerful energetic protection mechanism that, in a matter of seconds or minutes, can transmute energy negative to positive energy, change the energetic state in ways unthinkable in other eras. However, that was not the only reason to be a master, is only the beginning. As he was the great holder of knowledge and wisdom, was invited to royal dinners and in contact with famous and wealthy people of his time. There he was described as mysterious and extremely intelligent person. You can imagine how he was able to obtain such a much wisdom, yet here this was led him to the rank of the master. In life, he was able to develop the secret of immortality, often called the philosopher's stone, the fountain of the youth in the literature, films, science fiction. This is allowed him not only to be the only alchemist on the world capable of turning the ordinary metals to pure gold, hence his inaccessible wealth, but he is able also to be seen over the long periods in a different countries of the world, always appearing exactly the same. Will the years pass and the people age, he continued to traveling and visit the world permanently without suffering the passage of the time, until one day he simply was no longer seen. His case became famous because perhaps the most known account involves a young girl we meet in Han who is already very old, encountering him again shortly before her death, and was horrified to discover she was facing the same person in the same condition. As a result, word of the event spread and coincidences began to emerge all over Europe. Saint-Germain had not died; he simply continued his life traveling without aging or dying like his contemporaries. You can also find spiritual figures of extraordinary level, such as Satya Sai Baba, who with a great mastery from his very young age had the control over the nature and was able to materialize objects in his hand a matter of seconds, followed by billions of people worldwide and the creator of astonishing miracles even today. He acknowledges during his lifetime that his first creation was Shirdi Sai Baba, and that he would return a third time as Prema Sai. This confirms his powerful level of evolution as I can be consciously said, and they come and go according to whether the life mission is fulfilled or what the society needs in order to continue to advancing. And to take this and ever deeper levels, let that address to the topic with myths and legends. Beginning with the Merlin and the King Arthur, neither of them was fictional. Arthur was his protege, his pupil. These famous words refers to the fact with the right person, not through the physical strength, but through the correct energy vibration of the heart, is capable to controlling the matter, in this case, manifesting, drawing to source. But let us focus on Merlin. He lived and died on Glastonbury, England, with for the advanced study of metaphysics has gone on to Avalon, but that is another subject. Merlin was not only a magician of the white magic, working for the light, but perhaps the most powerful of the druids to ever walk on the earth. He had the ability to speak with the animals and plants, with trees. Since they had many years of life, they could obviously transmit much knowledge. They so called the tree of the wisdom, often depicted on the cartoon as a tree with a human face that speaks and teach this knowledge. This is partly true, as they can communicate with us, but only on the mental plane at the level of intuition. But if the legends are true, then what is about the gods of the other eras and civilizations such as Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent of Mexico, Odin for the Norse, Zeus in Greece, or Isis in ancient Egypt? And the answer of the one we are expecting is yes. was real. With that power for influencing a different regions of the world, they have pointed the way for humanity, marked entire eras, and left the legacy that reaches us today. True, in some cases many gods and deities were created solely to represent certain types of energy or events, and the way to connect with this energy, for example, the runes, allow not only to channeling of a type of energy, but also to discharge onto this plane to enjoy his benefits. Amongst the runes for abundances like Fehu, health, connection with the earth, or protection, Isa, which this is why were they often designed on the body as amulets. Many of these entities at the level beyond that I can describe in words were responsible for providing knowledge to the society about agriculture, technological advances, and in many cases about the sky. This is one of the few ways to explain how the Mayans, some completely nomadic African tribes, or the exact position of the temples and the direction of the sphinx of ages faces poses in an absolute and perfect degree of precision with the stars. They are already have this knowledge 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, and the importance of this information allowing entire civilization to survive, since understanding the sky at the very least guarantee identify seasons and the optimal harvest periods. The impact was so great that they not only create monoliths, monumental structures, and pyramids engraved in all of kind of wall or vessel, curiously identical across different continents without communication with them on that era. But everything that's happened millennia years ago reaches our time only through a physical writing, but also transmitted orally from generation to generation. As the knowledge reached more modern times because it seemed so incredible, and above all, gave the people the great power, knowledge, it was ridiculed, hidden, and minimized as much as possible so that the people would gradually distance themselves from it and even fear it, and they certainly succeed. Not only was much of this is buried, but what we remember to call is myths and legends, historical figures that, according to modern society, were is just ordinary people, or did not even exist, or a magical fairy tales like the Wizard of Merlin with his red hair, or a king who had to pull the sword of iron from a stone. All of this result in a complete disconnection and devaluation of what we are once the greatest and most powerful heights humanity ever had at its disposal. But not all is lost. Now you know that everything we're made to release was false is actually true, that it exists, and that we can come into contact with that level of wisdom and manifest in here of the earth. You must believe deeply, connect with the earth, and put it to the test. Once it's begin to work with you and for you, you understand the power that we human beings possess. All of this is a completely at disposal, I have managed to connect with some of them, and the only one I will allow myself to mention on this video, so that you understand that is real, is Horus, who at subconscious level sent signals through my life until I was ready. What you are reading or listening or you see, everything you'll find on my website, YouTube, or my social networks are nothing more than the challenge and the execution of one of his plan to return to humanity the knowledge is already had, and thus we thank him for that. With this, I wish to make it clear that neither the knowledge belongs to me, nor only this project is mine. I am only a tool from the light. If you all see any doubts about these great ascender masters who became at a certain periods to help humanity, I invite you to research about Elon Musk because in some ways we are resemble Tesla, but it's just a great coincidence, isn't it?